The sound of hooves echoed through the grand auction hall, reverberating off the polished marble floors. The room was packed, each seat filled with eager faces, rich with anticipation. A rare opportunity had just arrived, a horse, unlike any other. This wasn't just any thoroughbred or racing champion. This was a creature whose history and lineage were shrouded in mystery. A horse that had never been seen by the public eye. And now, for the first time ever, it was up for auction. What the bidders didn't know was that the prize they sought didn't just hold the potential for fame and fortune on the racetrack. It held the key to something far more valuable, an unimaginable secret that could change the life of whoever owned it forever. But, as with any great story, there's always a twist waiting to be uncovered. Enter the millionaire, an individual who had achieved great success in business and accumulated wealth beyond most people's dreams. He was a man who thought he had seen it all, a seasoned investor, and a lover of rare, exotic animals. To him, this horse was merely a luxury purchase, a symbol of his wealth. But deep down, he was searching for something more. Something that went beyond just accumulating wealth. He was searching for the next big thing, the next deal that would put him even further ahead. Little did he know, his life was about to take a dramatic turn, one that would lead him into a world of mystery, hidden treasures, and life-changing revelations. When the horse was first led into the auction ring, the crowd fell silent. It wasn't just the horse's majestic appearance that captivated everyone. It was the aura of something inexplicably special, something almost otherworldly. Standing there perfectly still, the horse seemed to almost know it was the center of attention, an aura of mystery surrounding it. As the bids began to rise, the millionaire found himself drawn to the creature, unable to take his eyes off it. He wasn't the only one, though. Around him, others were eyeing the horse with intense interest. Whispers of its origin and value echoing through the room. The auctioneer's voice rang out, going once, going twice, and in that moment, the millionaire's hand shot up, securing his purchase. What happened next? Well, the millionaire couldn't have known what awaited him. When the horse arrived at his sprawling estate, it was clear there was something unique about it. Not just in its appearance, but in its behavior. Unlike any animal he had ever owned, this horse seemed to possess a certain intelligence, an awareness that unsettled him. It would stare at him with piercing eyes, as if trying to communicate something unspoken, something hidden just beneath the surface. As the days passed, strange occurrences began to unfold. The millionaire, who had spent his life in the business world, suddenly found himself experiencing a series of vivid dreams. These weren't just ordinary dreams, but cryptic visions, full of symbols, codes, and messages that he couldn't quite decipher. At first, he chalked it up to stress, or the pressure of his wealth, but the dreams continued, growing more intense, more compelling. One night, after a particularly strange dream, the millionaire decided to investigate further. Little did he know, his curiosity would lead him to an old, forgotten library, hidden deep within his estate, a place that seemed to hold the answers he had been seeking. In that library, he discovered a collection of ancient books and scrolls, some dating back hundreds of years, all containing stories and legends about a legendary creature, the very horse he had purchased. The more he read, the more he realized that the horse wasn't just a rare find. It was part of a much bigger story, one that had been hidden for centuries. According to the texts, the horse was said to be the guardian of a treasure, a secret fortune that had been passed down through generations. The treasure was said to grant its owner unimaginable power and wealth, but only if they could solve a series of riddles, each one more complex than the last. As the millionaire delved deeper into the mystery, he began to notice that the horse's behavior had changed as well. It would often lead him to certain areas of his estate, areas he had never thought to explore. And when he followed, he would find strange markings on the ground, symbols that seemed to correspond with the cryptic messages in the books. The horse seemed to be guiding him, but to what end? Was it simply a coincidence, or was something far more incredible at play? The more he investigated, the more questions arose. Who had placed these books in his library? How had the horse known to lead him to these markings? What was the real purpose of the treasure, and what kind of power did it hold? And perhaps most importantly, why had it chosen him? There was something deeply personal about the connection between the millionaire and the horse. Something that neither of them could yet understand. But one thing was certain: the path ahead was not just about wealth. It was a journey into a world that was far more dangerous and unpredictable than anything he had ever imagined. But even as the millionaire uncovered more secrets, he could sense that he was not alone in this quest. Others were watching, waiting for him to make the wrong move. There were whispers of shadowy figures who had been searching for the same treasure for years. And now that the horse had been found, they would stop at nothing to claim it for themselves. The millionaire's fortune had just become a target, and the race was on to see who would uncover the truth first. Would he be able to unlock the secrets of the treasure before it was too late? Or was he already too deep into a game that he didn't fully understand? The clock was ticking, and with each passing day, the stakes grew higher, the dangers more real. The millionaire's life, once filled with luxury and comfort, was now hanging by a thread, caught between the promise of a life-changing fortune and the looming threat of those who would do anything to see him fail. The next step in his journey would either lead to unimaginable wealth or to a discovery that would forever change his destiny. But as the millionaire stared into the eyes of the horse, he realized that the answers he sought were closer than he thought. The key to his fortune was within his reach. But was he ready to face the truth? Or would it prove to be too much for him to handle? The next morning, the millionaire could feel a change in the air, something unsettled, something urgent pulling him toward the stables. He couldn't shake the feeling that the horse was trying to tell him something, and despite the mounting pressure of his other business affairs, he knew he had to follow his instincts. As he stepped into the stables, the horse was waiting for him, its dark eyes locked on his, with a look that felt like a silent plea. For a moment, everything else seemed to fade. It was just him and the animal, in that strange moment of connection. Then, the unexpected happened. The horse let out a sudden, loud whinny, startling him. A brief flash of light flickered behind its eyes, and the millionaire's heart raced. He knew something had just shifted. He spent the next several hours combing over the library again, tracing every symbol, every line of text in the ancient books. Nothing made sense. Yet, deep within him, the feeling grew stronger that the horse wasn't merely leading him to clues. It was trying to communicate with him, as if urging him to uncover something darker, something buried beneath the surface. He found a passage that stood out. The key is not just found, it is earned. The chosen will face trials before the treasure can be claimed. What did that mean? What trials? And what treasure? Suddenly, the quiet of his estate was shattered by the shrill ring of his phone. It was his lawyer, breathless on the other end. "You need to get to the bank. Now," the voice crackled through the line. "There's been an attempt to drain your accounts. Someone's trying to wipe you out." The millionaire froze. Panic gripped him as he scrambled to understand what was happening. Was it possible that someone knew about the treasure? Had his newfound obsession led to a much bigger problem than he had anticipated? He rushed to the bank, but by the time he arrived, the damage had already been done. His assets were under investigation. The authorities were involved. The lawyer explained in hushed tones that this wasn't just a random attack. It was a sophisticated scheme, the kind only people with access to rare knowledge could execute. Someone had targeted him, and it didn't take long for the millionaire to realize that whoever was after him knew about the treasure, and more importantly, they knew about the horse. But who could it be? And how did they find out? As his life unraveled, the millionaire couldn't shake the thought that the horse might hold the answers. Something about the creature's silent presence in his life seemed to connect him to these events. Was it a warning? Or was the horse guiding him, pushing him into a deeper, more dangerous game. The mansion no longer felt like a sanctuary. The walls seemed to close in, as though the place itself had turned against him. The mansion's corridors were empty and silent, but to him, they felt charged with something sinister. The horse had been leading him into something he wasn't fully prepared for. With the authorities closing in and the stakes rising higher by the hour, the millionaire decided to take matters into his own hands. He arranged a private meeting with a historian who specialized in ancient relics and their origins, hoping to find more answers. The historian arrived at his estate, an expert in cryptic texts and symbols. After a tense silence, the millionaire laid out the ancient books and told her everything. The historian's eyes widened as she flipped through the pages. "These aren't just myths," she whispered. "These are real. The horse is part of something far older than you realize. It was created to protect an artifact that could change the world." But as the words left her lips, there was a sudden knock at the door. Before they could react, masked figures stormed into the room. The millionaire barely had time to react before one of the intruders lunged for the books. A chaotic struggle broke out. The historian screamed, and the millionaire managed to fight back, sending one of the intruders tumbling out of the door. But just as quickly as they had arrived, the masked figures vanished into the shadows. The millionaire's heart raced, but he didn't dare stop. He had to find the truth. Later that night, he returned to the stables. The horse was waiting, calm, poised, as if it had anticipated this moment. The millionaire didn't know whether it was a final sign or a warning, but he approached the animal, searching for any clue. As he ran his hand along the horse's coat, his fingers brushed against something an odd, hard shape beneath its skin. His breath caught. Could it be a hidden compartment sewn into the horse's body itself? It seemed impossible, yet as his hands worked with urgency, he uncovered a small, ornate box. His fingers trembled as he opened it, revealing an ancient key, carved from bone and inscribed with more symbols he recognized from the books. His mind raced. The key. This was the key to the treasure, the one that had eluded so many before him. But as he stood there, staring at the key in his hands, a chilling realization set in. It wasn't just a key to wealth. It was a key to something else, something far darker, more dangerous than he had ever imagined. The moment he held the key, the game had changed. The horse had chosen him, but what did that mean for his future? Was he truly ready for what came next? And more importantly, would he survive it? The light of the full moon bathed the estate in an eerie glow, and as he stood there, holding the key, the air seemed to hum with an unseen force. There was no turning back now. The treasure was within reach, but so were the people who would stop at nothing to take it from him. In that moment, he realized the question wasn't whether he could claim the treasure. The question was whether he would live long enough to use it. With the key now in his hands, the millionaire stood frozen in the stables, the weight of his discovery settling over him. Every instinct screamed that time was running out. The intruders had already shown their hand, and the authorities were getting closer to understanding the magnitude of the situation. The horse, standing quietly before him, seemed to be waiting for him to make his next move. But where could he go from here? The key wasn't just the answer. It was the beginning of a far more dangerous path. He decided to follow his instincts. Gripping the key tightly, he made his way toward the hidden part of his estate that the horse had guided him to. It was a desolate, forgotten area where no one had stepped in years. He hadn't thought much of it until now. As he approached the old iron gate that led into the overgrown grounds, he could feel the ground beneath him shift. As though it too was aware of what was about to happen, Horse stood by, silent, as he inserted the key into an ancient lock hidden at the base of the gate. It clicked, and with a deep breath he pushed the gate open. Beyond it lay a cavernous stone structure, long buried under ivy and neglect. He had never seen this part of the estate before. Inside, the air was damp and cool, thick with the scent of aged stone. As he ventured deeper into the underground passageways, he could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. The walls were lined with more symbols, those same cryptic marks that had appeared in the books, on the horse, and in his dreams. It was all coming together. And then he saw it, the treasure. It wasn't gold, jewels, or ancient artifacts like he had imagined. Instead, there was a pedestal holding a single object, a small, intricately carved box. His pulse quickened as he stepped forward. He could sense that this was the moment. This was the true prize. As his fingers brushed against the box, something strange happened. A low rumbling filled the air, and the stone walls seemed to shift. The ground trembled. It was then that he realized the treasure wasn't meant to be found, it was meant to be awakened. Suddenly, a sharp noise echoed from behind him. He spun around, startled, and found himself face to face with the masked figures who had been chasing him all along. They had tracked him down, knowing he would lead them straight to the treasure. The millionaire's heart raced as they closed in, weapons drawn. But before he could react, the horse appeared, charging into the room with a force that seemed to defy logic. The intruders hesitated, taken aback by the creature's power and presence. The horse moved with a precision and speed that was almost otherworldly, driving the attackers back. In a flash, the intruders were either on the ground or retreating, leaving the millionaire standing in awe. It wasn't over, though. The horse had not come to save him, it had come to fulfill its true purpose. As the final intruder fled, the horse turned to him, its gaze locking with his in a way that sent a chill down his spine. Slowly, it stepped toward the pedestal, where the box sat. It nudged the box with its muzzle, and suddenly, the entire room lit up with a brilliant, blinding light. The walls cracked open, revealing an intricate network of tunnels leading deep into the earth. The treasure had not been meant to stay hidden. It was a map, guiding the chosen to something far beyond riches. The horse let out a soft neigh, and as the light slowly faded, the millionaire stood frozen. The treasure had never been about wealth. It was about unlocking an ancient power. A network of secrets that had been buried for centuries. The horse had chosen him, not for his money, but for his potential to wield the knowledge within these walls. But what did it all mean? What was he truly meant to do with this newfound power? Before he could fully process what was happening, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. It was not a person, but a presence, a voice emanating from the very walls themselves. "You have found what was meant for you," the voice said. "Now, you must choose. Will you take the knowledge and claim the power it offers, or will you walk away, leaving the past buried?" The millionaire was speechless. How could he possibly make such a decision? But the horse seemed to understand. With a final, deliberate step toward the pedestal, the creature nudged the box again, as if to remind him of his responsibility. The millionaire knew there was no going back. He couldn't simply walk away. He was now part of something much larger than himself, something ancient and powerful. Slowly, he took the box, holding it tightly in his hands. As he did, the world around him seemed to shift, and he realized that the treasure wasn't just a means to material wealth. It was a key to unlocking a destiny far beyond his wildest dreams. But just as quickly, everything went still. The horse turned and walked out of the room, leaving him to contemplate what had just occurred. The voice echoed once more, "The choice is yours." And with that, the room fell silent once again. The millionaire stood there, holding the box, his mind racing. He had come seeking wealth, seeking power, but now he understood. It wasn't about owning the treasure. It was about what the treasure could teach him, about what it could unlock within him. His life had just changed, not because of money or riches, but because of the vast, untold secrets that lay before him. And as he walked out of the chamber, he knew that the path ahead would not be easy. But whatever awaited him, he was no longer just a businessman or a millionaire. He was now part of something greater, part of a world that held both danger and incredible potential. The horse had led him here, And now he would take the first step into a future that had once seemed unimaginable. As the doors to the chamber closed behind him, one final question lingered in his mind. Was he truly ready for the power he had just unlocked? And if so, what price would he have to pay for it?